Hello there, Internet. It's Mogwai here, and I got another video for you guys today, and we are still in the honeymoon phase with War of the Spark, and I got so many damn deck lists I want to try, and so little time, but we're gonna take it one deck at a time, basically. I think everybody's struggling with this, and I'm gonna dwell into an archetype that flourished with this new set that I was very eager to get myself into, as I faced a few players in the early access streamer event who were running a deck list like this, and I wanted to take my own approach at it, and that is a Boros boosting Feather the Redeemed deck. I'm gonna call it that. I just call it Boost, but basically it's an aggressive Boros list built around this card right here. Feather the Redeemed is a Boros 3 mana legendary angel creature with 3 power, 4 toughness, the flying keyword, and an ability that says the following: whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the end of the next at the beginning of the next end step. So it's important to emphasize that it says the next end step, not just your own end step, because I thought it was my end step at first, but it's both yours and your opponent's, which means that with this 3-drop, you can abuse self-boosting instant speed spells, as you can play them indefinitely and get them back at the end of each turn again and again during both your opponent's and your turn as well. The only limitation to this is basically the amount of mana you have, right? Because otherwise you have free plays in your hand, and that is what we try to abuse with this sort of lineup. When it comes to self-boosting effects, we are running just 1 mana plays because we want to maximize on tempo as much as we can, and these are the 5 that we are running. Those are the likes of Defiant Strike, Sheltering Light, Reckless Rage, Smooth Sprint, and Integrity Intervention. Integrity is the main source that we use, but sometimes intervention can come into play, especially in the aggro matchups, right? So why are we running these 5? Well, we have a mixture of tempo and damage output alongside removal with Reckless Rage and protection with Sheltering Light. And the reason for the distributions is because Defiant Strike is perhaps the most key one, as it is the least impactful one. As it only gives you +1 attack, but it does enable us to draw a card. So with Feather, this is basically free cycle. Like, we get to draw a card and get this card back every turn. So like I said, mana is really the only thing limiting how crazy you can go with this, right? So we have 4 copies of Defiant Strike and 4 copies of Smooth Sprint, because Smooth Sprint gives haste. Smooth Sprint is one of the most impactful ones here. It's really strong. I mean, they're all great, right? But Smooth Sprint can be very powerful, especially in conjunction with Feather the Redeemed. We can play Feather at turn 4 and play Smooth Sprint onto it and give it haste the first turn, and then get some moods back to our hand at the end of that turn as well. It also enables us to scry, which is nice, and it gives us the most burst with the +2 attack as well. And then we have removal in Reckless Rage, which is really solid with this deck because we deal 4 damage, which enables us to kill the likes of the Growth Chamber Guardian, the Steel Leaf Champion, and many creatures out there that have 4 health. So like the threshold between 3 and 4 is quite big, and there's many things that Lightning Strike can't take down while Reckless Rage can, and we get to do so for 1 mana. We have to damage one of our units by 2, but we have units that can take this hit and survive, such as obviously Feather, but also the likes of the Dreadhorde Arcanist and the 10th District Legionnaire because of her ongoing effect. And before I get into these two, I'm going to explain Sheltering Light. Very straightforward. We want to protect our key units here, and Sheltering Light is a great way to do so. It enables us to scry, but also give a certain unit indestructible, right? And that can be really key. So Integrity Intervention is perhaps the least important of these. Like, it has the biggest stat that we can, like, it gives a unit +2/+2, which really does come into play, but unfortunately it's the one of these 5 boosting effects that does not work with Dreadhorde Arcanist, because I'm going to explain how this card works, but basically when it comes to like the actual value of this card, it's taking intervention into consideration, so it counts like as a 4 mana play technically because it is a dual card, right? So Dreadhorde Arcanist and 10th District Legionnaire, very key cards in this deck, staples alongside Feather for the strategy itself. So like basically I took a lot of like very key components that most decks that are playing Feather are going to run, but I also incorporated some standard aggressive power tools that enable Boros and white focus aggro decks to be successful anyways, to make it so that we don't have to completely rely on these sorts of synergies to win games. You know, we have the ability to also smart our opponents as well in case our strategy doesn't, you know, work out because we don't draw the key components or our opponent has a lot of removal available, right? So I'll get onto that portion at the end of the deck tech, but basically I'm going to explain these two cards now, which is very important, right? 10th District Legionnaire is the biggest enabler here. It is a 2-mana 2/2 with haste, with the ability that says whenever you cast a spell that targets 10th District Legionnaire, put a +1/+1 counter on her, and then you scry 1. The scry effect is really neat because you can, at a certain point in the match, you can get rid of lands that you were going to draw and draw into more key cards, and it really does make a difference. But the big factor is the fact that she gets a +1/+1 counter whenever you apply a boosting or a targeting effect onto her, right? So because we have so many mana plays, for example, if we play Reckless Rage on her, she will get a +1/+1 counter before the 2 damage happens, and therefore she will survive the 2 damage hit and thus enable you to hit something for 4. The key thing here is if you happen to have 10th District Legionnaire and Feather on the board at the same time, it's pretty much GG unless your opponent can board wipe you, because you're able to play these 1 mana boosting spells, you know, for free, and on top of that, you're getting insane boost on 10th District Legionnaire whenever that happens, right? Like the fact that she's just for 2 mana 2/2 with haste is already solid enough. Like that's pretty damn decent. But on top of that, this effect can be incredibly snowbally, and if your opponent does not deal with this, this is going to be the main target of all of our effects, if that can be the case, right? And she can just automatically win you a game really fast if she goes unchecked. On top of that, we have the Dreadhorde Arcanist, who is a zombie wizard, 2 mana 1/3. The 3 health is very key here because it enables us to play Reckless Rage onto him. And this is a very interesting and very cool card in this deck because, as you can see, we have Trample, which doesn't really come into play unless we're buffing him tremendously, but it can really matter if we get his attack high up because that means chump blocking won't work against him, which it actually does work against the Legionnaire, for example. And his ability is really neat. When he attacks, you can cast target instant or sorcery with converted mana cost less than or equal to his power from your graveyard. And then after you cast that, it gets exiled. So you can't like do this forever, right? But the key thing is, because we have so many 1 mana instant spells, we can play them from our hand and then reutilize them with Dreadhorde Arcanist at the same time. And if we play Feather afterwards, we can return a spell from the graveyard, play it, and Feather's effect will apply, will override Arcanist, which means that Feather's effect would make it so that the card that we return from the graveyard will eventually go back to our hand later down the line. And that makes it so that these two work very well together if played on curve. So Dreadhorde Arcanist is a very powerful enabler. The fact that I can use all these, you know, boosting effects early in the game and then potentially recycle them and either go for a key removal Reckless Rage play or go for a big boost with Samut Sprint to give something a little bit more damage is very nice, and it's a very, very key card, like I said. So these 3 creatures are the core of the build, and then I basically filled the rest of the deck with Dauntless Bodyguard, History Benalia, and Heroic Reinforcements. History Benalia is pretty straightforward. It's just a really strong card. It's the strongest 3 mana play in white, in my opinion, and perhaps one of the strongest in the entire game, as it can just represent so much damage on its own, and is pretty much a staple for any sort of aggro-focused build, in my opinion, that has white as a color. And we have Heroic Reinforcements as an ability to finish off a game. Sometimes with this deck, you can deal a lot of good damage and bring your opponent down quite low, but your opponent is stabilizing a little bit, developing his own board, getting some solid blockers going on, and you need that extra final push because he's removed some of your key components. And Heroic Reinforcement does that. It just finishes off the game. It finishes the game. It capitalizes on the board state that you have and gives you that extra final push to finish the match. And that's why I'm running it as a 4-of, though it could technically be as a 3-of, honestly. Like I think this could be fine like that. And then we have Dauntless Bodyguard as the 1 drop, because I did want a 1 drop in this deck, even though we have, you know, a low curve. Not having a 1 drop feels bad, and Dauntless Bodyguard enables us to apply a lot of pressure early on. You know, getting a 2/1 on the board turn 1 is really solid, and she's just like the best option because she's also a pretty decent late game or mid game draw, as we can place her on the board and protect the likes of Feather or the 10th District Legionnaire from removal. And that has come into play into a lot of my games as well. In regards to the sideboard, I've yet to work on it. I've been playing with this deck in best of 1. I think that's where it truly shines. But I think it does have the potential to go into best of 3 as well. I consider stuff like Banefire, Demystify, Lyra Dawnbringer for the aggro matchups, and other cards for the sideboard. But like I said, I have to think about that more as I've been playing with this in best of 1. And I think it's the proper environment for it, at least as of now, as it does tend to do pretty well against mono white aggro, which is one of the most popular decks you'll face there. Against Esper Control, it kind of struggles, but oh well. Generally speaking, very fun deck. And I've been talking about it for 10 minutes. I think I want to keep my deck text a little bit shorter, but I wanted to talk a lot. I don't know. I really wanted to dive deep into this deck and explain how it works. And let me know if you guys want me to kind of like cut down the deck text by half a little bit. I think I'd be happy with 5 minutes instead of 10. I feel like I ramble a little bit, but nonetheless, in the description down below, you always have that timestamp to skip to the games. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Have a solid day. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed some good old Feather Boros. Leave a like for angels and boosting and shit for the Brazilian flag in the back, despite the fact that I'm Spanish. And that's all I'm gonna say. Have a solid day. I love ya, and I'll see you tomorrow with more. All right, here we go. Cedic will hopefully become our first victim. This hand is... I'm gonna keep this hand. Like, generally speaking, with this deck, we have a very low curve, right? So the last thing we want is to get flooded. I have 2 Feather the Redeems, and I'm just 1 land away from this hand working out really well. I need to hit that mana 3. Even though I have Heroic Reinforcements, it's more important for me to hit that mana 3. So, being able to drop the Dreadhorde Arcanist turn 2 and having the Defiant Strike going on that I can cycle with this 2-drop right here can be really strong for us. We're facing Izzet. Alright, so this could be Arclight Phoenix. But he does not drop a bird, and we do draw into a land. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, so we're not vulnerable to shock. Now, I honestly just want to drop Feather. Because he can counter this at this point. And we do have another Feather in hand. So if he does happen to have a Lava Coil, we can follow it up with another one. If not, we got the momentum going on here. Okay. We got the Reckless Rage. He does not have Shock enabled because he only has 1 source of red mana that is already tapped. So we have several lines of play here. We could go for the Heroic Reinforcements for a big Smork play, but we're better than that. We're gonna do the following. We're gonna start abusing Feather's ability right off the bat. We're gonna go for the Reckless Rage onto the Dreadhorde Arcanist to deal with the Enigma Drake. Even if he has a dive down, we have another Reckless Rage we can go for. I suspect he has a dive down. Oh my, wa shindaru! Yep. Did I? This means we cannot attack with the Dreadhorde Arcanist this turn because we don't want to trade into that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go for the Defiant Strike onto Feather here. And then we're going to draw into another card. We're going to attack. Smack him in the face for 4. And we're going to get back 3 cards, baby. Look at that value, son. Alright, that was pretty solid for us. He's got 5 mana, though, no? Alright. He's going to be able to fish for something else. Right now, he can't really deal with Feather. If he does have Lava Coil, we don't have an answer for it, though, unfortunately. Okay, I'm just going to go for the Reckless Rage here. I may as well get use of this for free, and... I mean, hey, I traded a Reckless Rage for a Spell Pierce. I am happy with that. I don't have to worry about that for this turn. And, bro, we just got another one, so it's all fine. Sunshine, Rainbows, all that crap. Feather number 2. We should play Defiant Strike here. We're going to play this for free. And first of all, I'm going to go for the Defiant Strike here. To get a free draw. Because depending on what we draw... Alright. And I'm going to backpedal on that because I'm going to play the Dauntless Bodyguard to protect Feather right there. Because depending on what I drew, I was either going to go for the Reckless Rage to clear that, or I was, you know, going to do something else, right? Like, and because I drew a Dauntless Bodyguard, I want to keep Feather alive, so I'm going to use the Indestructible there. And this guarantees so that Feather doesn't die unless he has like an instant speed 4 damage play. Can't deal with it now. We're going to drop a mountain, and we're going to keep on going. We're shutting him down quite well. Let's see. Again, several options. We can clear this, potentially, and then deal 4 damage. We don't really have much more damage going on. I mean, if we go for this and this, we're looking at how much? 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. We're missing out on lethal by 2. So I say we be chill about it and we play History of Benalia instead this turn. So I'm going to go for the Reckless Rage onto the Dreadhorde Arcanist just to get that blocker out of the way. Though I could have gone for the Defiant Strike first. Probably should have gone with the Defiant Strike first. Since it is free card draw here. Nice. We're gonna play Benalia and then set up the reinforcements next turn for lethal. And that is a pretty sweet game one. I don't know about you, but that went pretty smooth. Alright, round 2. Number 627 on the ladder. We're so close to having like an actual number going on for us. And this hand is a keeper as well. We have no early game creatures as of now. We do have Feather, but we have 3 different boosting effects here. So this could definitely work out for us. We're gonna lead off with the Plains and call that a turn. Alright, this could be mono red. And if that's the case, then Intervention could put in the work here. This can trade with a Goblin Chain Whirler potentially. The key thing is keeping Feather safe. Feather has 4 health, so Feather is harder to kill. But I may wait until turn 4 to combine her with Samut's Sprint to potentially save her. Okay, it's not mono red though. Alright. It is not mono red. And I just drew into another Feather, which means I can play this one a little bit more aggressively. If he has Lava Coil, I will cry every time. If not, we're in a pretty damn decent position here. Because if we can establish Feather without him being able to remove it. Now, the good thing about Feather is that it's really well statted. It's a 3-4. I will not, like, no. No, thank you. Alright, we can handle that with Reckless Rage easily. Reckless Rage is just really strong removal in this deck. Really powerful. The fact that it deals 4 damage deals with so many different things. It's much more powerful Lightning Strike. And we are going to go for the Reckless Rage this turn. But first we're going to go for a Defiant Strike. Because we want to cycle through our deck and see what we got. See if we can find the land. So let's do that first. Beautiful. Beautiful. Alright, we're going to go for the... I mean, we have no reason not to... I mean, we're going to go for the Reckless Rage first. Now, we could go for Samut's Sprint, but I actually want to keep these two. Do I go for damage? I mean, I have more feathers anyways, so I should probably just go for damage. Yeah. And I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to keep 1 mana enabled so that I can survive Lava Coil. Look at that value, baby. Oh, dude, it's my second game, and I'm already showcasing the shit out of this card. This is so sweet. Alright, so, I want to keep 1 mana to, like I said, bypass removal. Alright. Good old bird. We have Reckless Rage though, so that discourages him from going for that. I can't go Reckless Rage because this is at the beginning of the next. I thought it was at the beginning of my next end step. I derped here. Well, now it won't work. Oh, god damn it. Because I could have just doubled up on that. Alright, we're going to go with 10 District Legionnaire. We're going to attack. He has to block. And check this shit out. Yep, you're in trouble. He has to block here because I represent a huge burst otherwise. So he's in a predicament. And this is what we're going to do. What he chooses to blue, we're going to boost. And then we're going to opt to go for the Reckless Rage on the remains of the Phoenix. So here we're going to go for... We have to go for the Integrity because Samut Spirit won't be enough to not have this die. So we got to go for this. We got to go for the Integrity, which is he does not know we have in our hand. We got to give you Integrity here. We could drop that to the bottom, honestly. Like, at this point. And we connect. And now we're going to go for the Reckless Rage. On this. And thus, we clear the bird. We got 3 damage in, but we are tapped out, so we are vulnerable to removal. Like Craw Harpooner, but we have more feathers. So this is like the most key unit for us now. So him trading with feather is fine. That's perfectly fine for us. Oh, that is so weak. Look at my power. Look at my resources. I got too many. I got too many. All right, what are we gonna do here? We could give feather rush or haste. We could also. We got so many different options. I mean, how about we threaten lethal, though? Because if we go... that's what we got to ask ourselves first. Do we have lethal on this man? Because we Reckless Rage here. Then we Defy Strike. So this is... Okay, so this is... 2, 3, 5, 8. 2... Yeah, this is easy lethal. I don't know why I didn't see it. I mean, we'll just keep that there. Why not? This is nutty. Absolutely nutty. I think he has a shock. The problem is I have too many 1-mana spells. Yeah, that's just not working, buddy. Oh, that thick boy though. Oh, you look at that. Booyah. Oh, make room number 627, because we have a number. We are important now. We matter. Not top 1,000, but, you know, we're there. After playing all the dank and dropping our rank, we're actually back in the numbers. Not even bad. With more dank, actually. I'll take it. Red armor. Red amour. I can't read, apparently. Alright, so this is definitely a keeper. Like I stated prior, one of the biggest concerns with this sort of deck is mana flood. So, having a low mana hand... most of the time it's a keeper considering how low our curve is. Yeah, we want to have, like, if we have 4 lands, between 4 and 5, that's really where we want to cap out, because that's where we can start chaining all of our 1-mana spells, but at the same time, we don't, like, we draw, like, useful shit, right? So we're going to drop the, actually, what are we going to do here? 10th District Legionnaire or the Dreadhorde Arcanist? I'm gonna go with the Dreadhorde Arcanist. If I click on this like too fast, it glitches like crazy. Like ever since the update happened, I can't just like spam the click here because it starts glitching. I don't know why. All right, this seems to be Jeskai. Okay, he definitely seems to have something up his sleeve. We're gonna drop the Sacred Foundry here though. And we're gonna play the 10th District Legionnaire. Then we're gonna go with the Samut Sprint. We're gonna drop that because we need, like, another land would be great. That's good. Now we could hit him. We could hit him here for like. I don't want to use Samut's Sprint because I want to use it with Feather next turn. So while we are gonna attack with everything, we are gonna decline that. We're not gonna use it this turn. We're gonna smack him. Smack him really good. Just this is the exact. I'm getting like really good hands, honestly. Like I'm getting really good starts. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I miscalculated there. I should have gone for the Samut Sprint to keep this out of range. I forgot about the debuff there. Oh, that was a huge misplay. I should have used this. I would have lost Feather Redeem's ability to reuse it, but I should have definitely used it. God damn it. Well. I'm going to play Feather, and I'm going to... Oh, man. I would have won that game if I didn't... I misplayed there. That was a huge misplay. Because that was a really good hand. That's completely on me. I derped. I derped majorly. So now we just gotta hope. Alright, there's the absorb. So now we just gotta hope that we. Ah, man, that sucks. That was a stupid misplay on my part. I played right into that. I was thinking about Deafening Clarion, but I forgot about like the temporary +1 boost on the defense. Okay, this Sheltering Light is great though. This is exactly what I want to see. We gotta take him down. If I can win despite that huge misplay, that would be tremendous because it would be bittersweet. Because like I said, I forgot about the temporary boost from Samut's Sprint. So I'm like, in my head, I said like I'm out of Deafening Clarion range, right? But then when it went back down to 3, I realized I done goofed. Okay, here we go. This is lethal. If he has another absorb, then he buys more time, which is definitely not what we want. If he has some sort of like instant speed removal, well, shit. That also works. The problem is if he plays Niv Mizzet here. because he's got all the mana in the world.
This isn't a fight you can win.
Okay, I need a Samut sprint. I scry as well.
I'm not ready for this quite yet. No time for a break. You show remorse. Let's skip to the good part.
Yep, that's GG. Like, I'm thinking, even if I top deck into one of these, like, now he has a blocker. Like, I was hoping that maybe if I top deck into one of those, but if not, GG. I think this definitely was our game to win. I think I would have definitely won if I did not make that misplay, but it happens. Like, I just derped, which sucks because I think I had an excellent hand. But you got to keep in mind, like, the boosts from the thing. But hey, you know, sometimes you misplay and sometimes you throw a game away, and I definitely threw that game away, because if I got the Legionnaire over to 4 health, then he could not have been able to go for the Deafening Clarion. It would not have dealt with the Legionnaire, and I would have been able to continue to boost it, and I would have been able to like smork him down way quicker than I did in the end. So yeah, game losing misplay right there, which is something important to acknowledge. It hurts, but you gotta take it and you gotta move on. Alright, so like Feather, hopefully I can redeem myself here. And maybe this is the hand to do so. Seeing 10th District Legionnaire in the opening hand is always a good sign. Going second with this sort of aggressive strategy is not really a good sign. But you can't ask for everything. We're drawing a few too many lands for my taste. He could have a board wipe. He could have a Kaya's Wrath here. He's definitely playing Esper Control. So I'm going to hold on to this one. I'm going to attack with this one instead. Double scry there. Okay. We're gonna do that. So we're gonna play this in Dauntless Bodyguard. We have him quite low, and we got him. And we got him. Oh, okay, redemption. Somewhat redemption. I was still vulnerable to a lot of things there. Like if he had Ross's Contempt, for example, but I mean, it had to be Ross's Contempt pretty much, because everything else, the Dauntless Bodyguard protected that. That's why I really like the Dauntless Bodyguard in this deck. But I did run a little bit out of steam, because if you don't draw Feather, like these 1-drop Feather or Arcanist. That's why I kept the Arcanist at the top of my deck, despite the fact that if my opponent had removal for the Arcanist, then it was kind of like a very slow play anyways. But if it managed to somehow survive a turn, then I could recycle my things. Because you need either the Arcanist or Feather to really, you know, not run out of steam like that, right? But the Legionnaire is probably, like, aggressively speaking, the most important card in the deck, because it just pushes a lot of damage really quickly, as you saw there. We're gonna keep. We have a turn 1 drop into a turn 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist. And that is good enough for me. A third land would be really key here to play Feather, obviously, but we got stuff going on regardless. And maybe we could potentially even surprise him here and trade with that. But I think I'd rather I'd rather drop the Arcanist first. I could have attacked with the Dauntless Bodyguard, because that could have made him, he could have like not blocked, fearing that. But now we're gonna get going. Now we're going to go for the Reckless Rage here. Because he's playing mono white, I don't have to worry about, like, you know, shocks or lightning strikes. That's one of the things when you're facing mono white. You don't have to worry about those instant damage, speed damage spells, right? I could also go for the Defiant Strike, which I definitely do want to, because I do want to. No, I want to thin through my deck, but I also want to be able to cycle these with. Well, I can cycle these. I can play this once. Yeah, and I got another one, so that's fine. I can play this again. Just to cycle through my deck. We get some good damage going on there. This deck is just beautiful when it flows, and it like these new cards really, like, they kind of work well on themselves. Obviously, like, the more components you have of like this strategy going on together, the better. But they can, like, on their own, they can apply a lot of pressure. All right. There we go. I could just attack with this and deal with that, but I'd rather just play Feather here. Yeah, I'm gonna connect. Get a little bit of damage on him. I'm gonna play Feather here. I could have attacked with a Dreadhorde Arcanist as well. But I didn't want to give him the fact that I wasn't going to use this. Even though, like, not attacking also gave him the fact about that. But having an extra blocker here could be quite key. Though, realistically speaking, he's never going to attack. But I was just concerned about a Conclave Tribunal. That was my biggest concern. Conclave Tribunal. If I design a sideboard with this, I'll definitely add in Demystify in it. Venerated Loxodon is actually a play that we're happy to see. Because regardless of how much damage we take, like, we can take 10 damage next turn, but because we have the Reckless Rage in our graveyard, we're going to wipe out this Elephant. Which is why, like, the fact that it deals 4 damage, this card is amazing in this deck. With Arcanist, it's insane. So the key thing here is utilizing our mana efficiently. So what we're going to do is we're going to Defiant Strike first. Just to cycle through our deck. Get the free card draw with Feather. And then we're going to attack with everything. we easily got him there. He knew, because we attacked, we used the Reckless to destroy that, and then we played that for free. And then we buffed shit here for free. We got a huge hit off on him. He could only deal 10 damage to his back, potentially 12 if he got like a Benelish Marshal going down. But we were never like afraid of lethal that turn from him, which means we could go all out, hit him in the face, and then just like get all of our cards back. Because after we play this from the graveyard, instead of exiling, Feather's effect applies, so we get the 4 damage to our hand. So we will keep 1 land to be able to cast this, and potentially use it defensively as well. This deck is absolutely nutty. When you get Arcanist and Feather on the board, it is insane. Obviously, if you don't draw those 2 cards, nor the Legionnaire, the deck kind of like loses out a little bit, but that's why I try to mitigate it a little bit, you know, with standard good Smork stuff like, you know, Dauntless Bodyguard, which also serves as a way to protect our units here, and the likes of History of Benalia and Heroic Reinforcements, right? Basically all stuff that I probably said in the deck tech part of the video anyways, but yeah, those were some nice games. We had a choke, and I'm gonna showcase all the games that I recorded in this session, and yeah, I'll have to take that choke like a man. I'll probably get, you know, comments talking about my misplays, because people really do like to backseat in that sense. I'm aware I misplayed to a degree that it lost me the game, but it's something that I learned from. Just pay more attention to those sorts of things, and, you know, a slip can happen to anybody. Barring that, the deck went extremely well. Even if, like, in that particular game, if I didn't make that misplay, I'm pretty sure I would have won as well. So, really solid list for best of one. I would like to, you know, tweak the sideboard a little bit. I mean, there's no sideboard right now, but I would like to design it. Because I think it could also put in the work in best of 3, but it's a bit difficult because it is a highly disruptible game plan, and there's certain, like, no matter how I look at it, Esper Control looks like a tough matchup for sure. We got lucky in our game against Esper Control, like they weren't able to, we kind of like smorked them, right? But if they have the right key removal cards, it can be really tough. Regardless, fun list. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for daily MTG content. Leave a like for feathers and smorkiness and all that goodness. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with more.